We have the next new budget graphics card, the Geforce GTX 1650, launched today. There's no reviews yet for performance and benchmarks because press didn't get the drivers a little bit early so they could start testing stuff for their videos. So we're not going to be able to see too much of that, but we'll go over some of the 1650 claims and some cool, interesting stuff. So apparently we're looking at 2x the performance over the older generation 950 or 70% over the 1050 GTX. So these are the couple titles that they're mentioning: Tomb Raider, Call of Duty, and Wolfenstein 2. So some interesting performance numbers, and we'll go over pricing and everything too, but specs really quick. This is going to have 896 CUDA cores, and no gigaarrays, no RT cores. Obviously, this is still Turing graphics card 16 series. So base clock 1485, boost 1665, and then we're gonna have some overclocked cards that go above that. Here's your memory specs, and we also have some charts from Anantech. Those glorious people do some pretty good side-by-sides and a bunch of in-depth writing if you want to read up a bunch more on it. But basically we get a side-by-side with the GTX 1660 and then the older gen, the 1050 Ti, and then the 1050 from back in 2016, so quite a few years ago. So it looks like we're getting a $150 graphics card, so $10 over the Ti or $40 over the older 1050, which only has 2 gigs of VRAM versus 4 gigs. So some pretty big differences are obviously the base and boost clock are increased over the older cards, as well as some memory clock. The VRAM is on par again with the Ti. It looks like 75 watts, so this will be enough power from the PCIe slot, unless you're going to get like an overclocked model, and then they'll have the extra 6-pin to go a little bit higher with the voltage, with the power and everything. So pretty good there. TU117 chip versus the older Pascal GPU chips, so that's pretty good and new Turing, so some good stuff there. And then we have a little bit more charts from WCCF Tech comparing some of the newer, the 2060, and if you just like charts to look at a comparison, you can pause and check it out. Some price differences there, so cool stuff. So performance wise, we don't have anyone reviewing it yet because the driver issue that NVIDIA didn't release one early enough for press to actually do some benchmarks. But it looks like Benchmark PC Tech and some smaller YouTubers have just run some graphics tests as quickly as possible, so you're just going to get graphs, you're not going to get like a whole video out of it. So it looks like he already has 4 videos out within the past hour, so you'll get to see a comparison of the 1050 Ti, 1060, 580, and the 1660. So there are a ton of tests, so it looks like some of the we're not quite sure unboxed mentioned some of the drivers tricks you could do technically they could have gotten a video out, but they didn't want to trick the drivers or anything because of performance issues. So we're not quite sure if Benchmark PC Tech did this, or they just were really quick with it, or a couple issues may have happened. But the Shadow of the Tomb Raider is not quite getting 70%. It said up to 70%. So A, NVIDIA's claims aren't quite 70%. B, it could have been one of the 3 games that was getting 70%. Or C, it could have been a different place they tested, slightly different settings. It was still on 1080p, but there are a lot of interesting numbers to check out over the 53 tests. A lot of tests. That is a lot of work. They do a lot of benchmarking videos, so they definitely do a lot of work with this. So pretty interesting numbers. If you want to check it out early, definitely compare it with another benchmarker. You always want to check a couple PC performance benchmark videos out before you decide on buying something. But looks like definitely an increase over the 1050 Ti, but not quite up to 70% like the NVIDIA claims. And then again, it's the Ti, so maybe it's my part on messing up comparison of what they're actually doing themselves. So pretty interesting overall. Check out these numbers. A lot of tests, they go all the way up to 4K, so a lot of good stuff there. And then they also have other videos versus the 580 RX, so pretty good stuff going on. Benchmark PC doing a lot of testing, so check it out. I think there was another YouTuber, you can do YouTube search for some stuff like that, but pricing gets pretty interesting. So just on Amazon, we get some pretty high prices from different things, but we do see closer to the 150 mark. 155 for Asus for this GTX 1650. Asus ROG is a 2-fan version for 180, a little bit more expensive. 165 for a 2-fan version from Asus. 160 from Gigabyte, it looks like. And then here's a 150, here's the MSRPs from Zotac. Gets a card pretty low, and as well as Gigabyte also has a $150 version. So pricing, it's pretty much down to the 150 on some Amazon sites, and then there's tons of versions of each card from every brand. EVGA has 6 different ones, the SC Ultra, which has 2 fans, and then they have some overclocked versions and some single fan versions as well. So a lot of stuff. There's also a Fortnite bundle they started today with the 16 series. I think it's for the 1650 and possibly the other 16 cards as well. 1660 and the TI, so you can now be able to get the extra Fortnite. I think it's V-Bucks and skins potentially, so there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. And as well as just the GTX 1650 that launched today, there was extra stuff. Obviously the drivers for the Mortal Kombat 11 are out, so the new 430.39 drivers, so you'll get some more performance out of potentially other cards, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. The 16 series laptops are also coming out today, as well as more G-Sync compatible monitors. So let's just jump into some of this other little quick news. So some of the extra laptops, there's 80 designs from every major OEM, again starting today for $800. Some of them go down to, and back to the drivers really quick, we get some actual performance number changes. So here are some testing with the Vulkan compared to DirectX 12. So previously we're seeing 6 to 8% performance increase from the different cards, and then with the new GeForce ready drivers we're looking at 13 to 18%. This is at 1440p. Jumping to 4K, we see a 16 to 21% improvement. So pretty interesting. Vulkan's getting some more performance optimization there for the new drivers, so good there. And then some more G-Sync compatible monitors. I believe there was 15 to 20 already approved, but now we get 7 more, 3 from Acer, Open, Asus, Gigabyte, and LG all get some monitors. It looks like there are a lot of 27, 24-inch versions. So check to see if it's one monitor you might have or thinking about buying. And then you can download the drivers today. So that is good there. What else do we have? Here's the G-Sync, the approved ratings. So it's just G-Sync compatible. It's not like your ultimate HDR certification. So I think they test for flicker and the variable refresh rate to make sure it's all smooth. And then it's not quite going to be 1000 nits brightness until you get to the ultimate HDR certification that NVIDIA has. So back to the laptops we did mention, starting at $800, the GTX 16 series is going into these laptops. So new graphics in some pretty cool new laptops. So here's a little comparison versus 2015 from now 2019. So it looks like up to 4 times performance improvement, 144 hertz. The displays are getting a lot better, thinner bezels, as well as thinness of the actual laptop, I believe, 20 millimeters versus older 33. That has some stuff to do with the Max-Q design, so slimmer graphics hardware and everything. So slimmer means obviously weight is less, more faster memory, and DDR4 SSDs going on. Back from a couple years ago, weren't quite in as many laptops. So 4 times performance. Here's some games. Here's from NVIDIA GeForce. Some good numbers there. A lot of your battle royales get up to 100 FPS now, so that's on high settings. It looks like 1080p. So good stuff there with a Core i7. Max-Q design we mentioned, really slim. As well as not just games, you'll get some video editing performance, as well as graphic design and photography editing with your hardware encoding acceleration. So some good stuff there. So, and then also, I believe they also mentioned back to some G-Sync compatible monitors, and then OBS as well. If you're into streaming, it's a little bit more of a CPU task, but these graphics cards will also have encoding chips on them, so they'll be able to do some good encoding. So previously OBS is very intense on the CPU, 47% showing with X264, and that's only 2% when the 1660 Ti is handling that. And you'll see, I think about a 5% roughly performance when you're using the encoding on the graphics card on FPS, but obviously CPU has a much bigger hit gaming on gaming FPS, 1x versus 1.4, so pretty big improvement there. And what else do we have? As well as the new graphics that are coming out today in laptops, as well as an actual graphics card, the GTX 1650, we have Intel with their 9th gen Intel Core processors, their H series. These are for laptops. So this is coming out today. Quite a few things coming with this. We get some performance numbers they're going to show as well. And let's jump into this little graphic a little bit. 3 times faster download. What were the other ones? Like 33% performance increase overall performance compared to a 3-year-old PC. or 28% responsiveness. Some other interesting numbers: 56% FPS improvement on games like Total War, Warhammer 2. So that's good for gaming, talking about gaming again, even though we're talking about CPUs. So pretty good. Some other interesting numbers: 75% lower latency on Wi-Fi 6. So some interesting stuff there. And NN does a little chart with all the H processors. You can see them all lined up, different processor thread counts, as well as frequency and BlueScock 4.9 gigahertz. So there's a little asterisk there. The thermal velocity boost will plus 100 megahertz turbo more, so up to 5 gigahertz. So pretty good there, if I understood that correctly. So pretty interesting. Turbo up to 5 gigahertz, so that would make sense there. So pretty good numbers. And speaking of all the laptops, there's 80 designs they mentioned, NVIDIA mentioned. Here is one of them. You might think of Razer as a gaming laptop, or that stands for Asus, MSI, and all the other laptop brands that are pretty popular. But the Razer Blade 15 returns with a 240 hertz full 1080p display, or a 4K OLED option. So I believe that's also a touch as well, touch display for the 4K version. So these 6-core processors, these new H series, are going to give some more performance. Obviously, this one is with the i7-9750H from Razer, and we get some different price marks. The base version is $2,000. That's obviously not with a 240 hertz display. I believe the advanced model is $2,400, and you get some other things. It's not just the monitor. I believe some Wi-Fi 6 options and some other stuff, but you'll get some good graphics options. I believe there's a couple different versions you can pick, like the 2060 RTX all the way up to the 2080. And then I wasn't sure about the 1650s yet. I'm not sure if that's in a lot of the Razer laptops or not. But here is the 17-inch version. This definitely goes up to the 2080 RTX. I believe Max Q design for this one. Also with the new i7-9750H processor. That's a 6-core. So pretty good stuff going on there. This one's a little 2500 for the 17-inch version. So a lot of cool laptops. There's a bunch of other ones going on. So that is all good. So where are the $800 laptops? Someone comments on the Geforce article. No clue. My best guess is from Burning War. By the Acer Nitro 5, or an Asus laptop with a Ryzen CPU plus 1650. So over the next couple of weeks and months, we'll probably see laptops coming out closer to the starting price with some 1650 graphics and everything going on there. So a lot of good tech news today, technically into the gaming with the graphics and everything going on. So a lot of cool stuff. We have Lulu saying Geforce, and we have Manuel saying hi, hello again, and nice from Mark. So a lot of good graphics stuff. Some $150 graphics card, a little bit more mid to low end graphics for the 16 series cards from NVIDIA. We'll have to see if they do like a 1030 or a 1630, 1640 would be the next step down if they release even lower end graphics cards. So with that, we will have another episode tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific with some more tech and game news. And with that, we will be signing out. Pew, 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 pew.